Welcome to the City of Charlotte's Open for Business Mentorship podcast, where we feature local entrepreneurs and partner resources to discuss ways to overcome the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. It's our goal to connect small business owners with the people and resources necessary to thrive as we all move forward beyond these challenges, because moving forward means moving together.
I wanted to welcome everybody today for our Open for Business Mentor Series podcast. I'm Tracy Dodson. I'm Assistant City Manager for the city with a focus on economic development. And we want to, again, welcome you here today. The Open for Business initiative first began in May of this year, when we really felt the need to lean in because we understood so many small businesses were dealing with the impacts of COVID-19. And we wanted to find solutions, not just financial support, but ways to really support the business community. That effort led to things like our Access to Capital program, which was $30 million in grants, a little bit more than $30 million. Had a great press conference on that and the money going out. But it also led to conversations like this with businesses that have learned how to survive and even thrive in the middle of COVID. And so again, thank you for being here today. I want to introduce both of our panelists. First, we have Chef Indira Johnson with Cuzzo's Cuisine. Thank you. It's a gourmet restaurant specializing in Southern cuisines. And then we also have Joanna Ruley, the owner of Brave Bone Broth, that create delicious and healthy bone broths that get shipped worldwide. That's pretty exciting. So again, thank you for coming here today. And I would love for you, both of you, to tell us a little bit about kind of your passion for what you do. How did you find yourself in the food industry? And kind of where you come from. So, Chef, I'll start with you first.
Oh, okay. Well, I started cooking in 1994 for 26 years now. Started off on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. I'm a native from South Carolina. I decided to go to Johnson & Wales in 98 in Charleston, South Carolina. Got my culinary degree from there. And once I went there, I decided, hey, the chef is what I want to be. And stuck with it. Now I've landed here in Charlotte in 2011. I started my food truck here in 2014. And now from my food truck, I got a restaurant, catering business, and working on franchising my restaurant. So, yeah, I'm living my dream.
That's great. I want to come back to you a little bit more and find out about how you go from food truck to restaurant, because I think that's it's got to be a pretty amazing experience. Mm-hmm. Joanna, how about you?
So I have a passion for cooking as well, and was trained mostly by my German grandmother. She was a successful restaurateur and came over from Germany after World War II and started Paula's Place, which was competing with McDonald's at the time in Santa Barbara. So from an early age, she taught me the best way to cook is from scratch and using everything, not wasting a thing. So the concept of making stocks or broths was ingrained in me, that you always say the chicken carcass, and that makes the most delicious broths and stocks. But my family really got into bone broth and using bone broth as part of our diet a few years ago. My husband was practicing intermittent fasting, and he found that he could have bone broth while he fasted. And the stuff that he was buying from the store was absolutely disgusting, off the shelf in the cartons. And I said, I don't care how good that is for you, sweetie. We are not drinking that. You're not opening that in the house again, which led to kind of developing this signature recipe of our homemade bone broth in my house. And just us enjoying it, my kids enjoying it. That was like the foundation of the bone broth movement in the Ruley household 3 years ago. So that then led to a passion for creating healing food, as well as a passion for bringing healing to our city and our world. So at the time, I was getting into learning more about human trafficking and just how it's affecting, our world, but especially our city too. So that was the catalyst to start the business of actually selling my signature bone broth, giving part of the proceeds, and this mission of hope and healing. So
it's an interesting market segment. So how do you go about really kind of starting that business and getting into that? I mean, it's different than just a restaurant or something that has a little bit more variety. It's very specific.
Yeah. Learned a lot the last 3 years. Definitely, I'm sure like you, chef, there's a huge learning curve. And being a self-taught chef, too, going into more of a retail marketplace, I quickly discovered that I could not be making my bone broth out of my kitchen at home, according to North Carolina regulations. And so I needed to move into a commercial kitchen. And that was, for me, I'm a person of faith. And so there was a lot of doors that were open at that point. And one was the owner of Reed's Fine Foods actually helped me out one day carrying some stewing hen carcasses. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm making bone broth, and I've got tons of customers in Charlotte. People are really excited about a local source of bone broth, but I need a commercial kitchen." And that led to developing a partnership with Reed's Fine Foods and being able to cook out of their kitchen, starting on the weekends, and then eventually producing now 5 days a week, all week. So just learning about what you can wholesale, what you can't. So I don't know if you want to go into all of that, but I think a lot of it is like behind the scenes, taking out trash and mopping and, going through your Serve Safe class and just learning all the things that it takes to produce food in a commercial manner.
So it's interesting you found a kitchen and a partner basically at the same time, which is kind of unique. Chef, how about you going from the food truck to the restaurant? Talk to me a little bit about that experience.
Well, I actually wanted to start a food truck since I got out of college in 2000 when I went to Johnson & Wales, and back then I realized it was just too expensive. It was like they were saying it was like $50,000, $100,000 to do a truck. So I had to, work and go through the little trials and tribulations, save some money during those years. But it took me 14 years to really start the truck. So what I did some research, and I realized that I could really build it myself, and I pretty much bought an old food truck. It was an old mill truck, and I took it and converted it, and bought my own equipment and everything, and got it fixed up for about under $10,000. So once I got that together, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get out here and just grind and work hard and see, till something came along, and I just stuck with it, worked hard, and next thing you know, I had the truck for 2 years, started in 2014, and after those 2 years, it just kind of, I kind of say it was just God sent, man, because the way I got this restaurant, it was like a miracle, because this guy went out of business, and the rent was really, really, really cheap, unbelievable cheap, and it was like an offer I couldn't refuse, and I took advantage of it. He went out of business with it, but I took it and made it work. And now I actually own the property now. I bought the property from the owner, and but the food truck got me there. I had to crawl before I walked. And I just stuck with it and just never gave up, and now I own the property.
So I'm curious about the food truck. I find it fascinating in terms of where you find different locations to go, the community support, things like that. What was that experience like?
Well, first when I started, there was some other food truck guys that was out there before me, and some of them will help you and some would not. So some of them, they look at me as competition, I guess, which any business would. So what I had to do, I was like, okay, I'm just follow you on social media and see where you went. Why reinvent the wheel? So I just saw where these other guys went, so I contacted their the places they went, and pretty much, they wanted other trucks, so I just kind of followed the leader pretty much, and I just built up my clientele that way. And once people tried my food, and people just started requesting my truck.
Yeah.
So now it's just like people just trying to book me now. I don't even have to look for no place to go. They just booking me all during the year now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, Joanna, how growing beyond Reed's? You talked about Reed's as a first kind of step. What about growing beyond that?
Yeah, so like I said at the beginning, I could only work in their kitchen on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And then I launched my product, and this is 2 years ago this fall, and it just sold out. So the owner said, hey, what do we have to do to enable more production? So that led to getting my own section of the kitchen, my own tilt skillet, my own chiller, my own table, so everything could just be for bone broth. So I always knew that, hey, there's a demand, but I just need to figure out how to make more of this product. So that led to the increased hours, the equipment, and then also recently being able to hire staff, like kitchen staff, to help me out. So all of that led to being able to expand in other retail stores like Green Brothers Juice Company. They've been awesome. And one of my big hopes was that I could bring like hot bone broth by the cup to go, like they have in New York and LA, and that I could bring that to Charlotte. So I just remember 2 years ago launching that at Uptown Reed's, and so many people walked in, and it was September, but it was still like 90 degrees outside, you know. And I was like, you want, free hot cups of bone broth? We're so excited. And they were like looking at me like, what? What are you offering me? Your soup to sip on? And I was like, well, it's kind of this new health trend because we found out like slow food's so good for us, and nobody has time to make broth from scratch for 24 hours. So now, broth shops are popping up, broth bars, and you can just grab it like a cup of coffee. So the reaction was just kind of like, you're crazy. Like, we're not so sure about this. And I was like, oh, I just thought people would be so excited. But that afternoon, I was going to pick up my kids, and I just had this thing in me that said, hey, if you don't believe in your dream, who else is going to believe in it? You got to keep going. This is for you. You were chosen to do this. And so I said, all right, I'm going to keep going. And then I did some cooking classes at Reed's Fine Foods, and the first one sold out. And it was really amazing. I used to be in real estate, and a bunch of my former colleagues came and invited their friends, and then just kind of spread the word. And then as soon as it launched there at Myers Park store and the South Park store, it just started selling out. So, but it took that, blood, sweat, and tears, and having to believe when nobody else believes in your dream to keep it going. So, and then that led to your question, being able to ship. That was another dream that I had, to be able to make enough and then be able to have the opportunity to ship nationwide. So that it's been about a year, and that's been great. And then something that's really helped that is my new website, which I'll talk about later, which came from y'all, Open for Business.
So quick question for both of you, for kind of budding entrepreneurs in the food industry, restaurant industry. Do you think that there's enough ways for them to get started, whether it be commercial kitchen space or different opportunities? You said, something came to you that was the right opportunity at the right time. Do you think that there's enough of those type of opportunities, or that we city and others need to be looking for different opportunities?
I think so. 'Cause I actually started in a commercial kitchen myself. I kind of skipped that, but I did started off in a Carolina commercial kitchen, and I did that for 2 years. But it's still, I think it's enough, opportunities for people. I mean, it's out there. You just got to find the right resources. Yeah, right. But it's out there.
Yeah.
But the commercial kitchen space is expensive.
Yes, that's why I had to get my own building.
Yeah, and likewise, that when I researched it at the beginning, the expense and then the number of hours that you have to commit to, and then as well as the sharing of the space and keeping your product safe in a manner that you would want to sell it to your customer. There's a lot of unknowns in sharing a commercial kitchen space, and so the opportunity to be in a restaurant kitchen or like partner with Reed's, I think it's unique because, or not unique for you, but like hard work, but it does take resources.
Yeah. That's good to know. We talk about, these kitchen spaces or incubator type spaces and things like that all the time. So that's great perspective, and I appreciate it.
And I will say, Tracy, there's a shortage of USDA kitchens in Charlotte.
Good to know.
There's only 3, and that is for if you're going to process like any kind of meat, that kind of thing. So
good to know.
There's a need for that.
Oh, great. Yeah. Thank you. So let's talk now about everything that's happened in light of this, in the pandemic, and go back to March. And tell me a little bit about kind of what you felt from a business perspective, and then, how your business has been affected since then.
Well, when March hit, it was a kind of a shock at first. I also got a catering company, and it affected my catering company a lot because I had a lot of weddings booked, little corporate functions booked, and we had to cancel everything and give some of the people their deposits back. But on the restaurant part of it, good thing I had like a backup plan, but the restaurant, it kind of helped us out. We already was a to-go spot. So what that did, it just, with everybody being home and they're home ordering food to go from DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, that kind of picked up for us. And we actually got a food truck as well. So with the food truck, we was able to go to their residence and, go to the neighborhoods, apartment complexes, and everybody would come out. So it kind of was a good thing on my restaurant. It was good for my restaurant, but my catering business, we took a hit. But we pretty much didn't stop a beat. If anything, it helped our business flourish because we had a lot more people ordering food from home and people just staying home ordering delivery. So it had its gift and it had its curse.
So you've utilized like DoorDash and all of those?
Every app, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, Grubhub. Yeah.
Great. Joanna, how about you?
Yeah, so like you said, it was a shock, definitely in March. We were actually on spring break. Our kids had spring break early and had just found out the day we're leaving that New York and Chicago restaurants were shutting down and getting the word that things were going to shut down in Charlotte soon. And I just remember I said to my husband, somebody has to help those people. Like the restaurant families, they're not going to make it because these are folks that work with their hands. That's what they do, cleaning or cooking or making things and getting paid on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, like what's going to happen, to this restaurant industry, the owners as well. But so just, I think I had this mission coming home, like I'm in this world, like for a time such as this, because, who's going to stand up, who's going to help, who's going to be the voice of what's happening behind the scenes. And you might see like the front side of the house of the restaurant, but you don't see like the back, what's going on back there. And I was privileged enough to be back there with family. So for my business, it was affected in that Reed's was shut down, Green Brothers was shut down. So that meant no more of the sales of the hot cups of broth, the loss of revenue. And then also in terms of the employees at Reed's too, that they had to lay off 50 folks. And so we had less dishwashers, we had less, just the infrastructure of the kitchen itself. Actually, I had no dishwasher. My friends and I, we would take, food and money to the people that were laid off. So it was, I think, two parts for me. It was like, how can I help these families? And then also like for my business too. Instead of dreaming about, okay, one day I would love to have brick and mortar and like have this broth bar like New York, like, okay, that's not the dream anymore. The dream now is to build up delivery, to build up shipping. It's a new dream.
Oh, I had to pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think the biggest challenge has been? Has that been the biggest challenge? Is just the pivot itself, or once you've decided to pivot, what you've had to do?
So I'd say for me, just in terms of talking about those families, we were, of course, like distance learning. And I have 4 kids. I failed to say that. They're 13, 10, 8, and 6. So, and then I was still working full time in the kitchen and then trying to teach the kids. But also my main thing was like, okay, how are we going to fund these families? So it started with, I knew 4 families. And then we ended up, bringing them groceries, and that led to 16 families that I got word of. And when I got word of that, I said, we can't do this. So I contacted our church and talked to some people, and they said, hey, you've got this huge newsletter, this client base, just ask them. So I turned to the folks that are on my newsletter and client base, and I just said, look, we're all in this together, wrote a letter about some of the families, giving details about their kids, and I said, would you donate? So we created this fund, and we were able to give $250 a week for that 8-week period for those 16 families. So it kept their lights on and grocery bills. But that was hustling, too, to make the bone broth because, delivery was up. Mm-hmm. Like you said, blessings and curses. That was good. And then trying to teach the kids and not go crazy at the same time.
I have a new appreciation for teachers.
Yes, me too.
That's funny you said that, but the challenges, I guess just having to adjust to, just switching up us, because we had to stop dining and everything, so that was a little challenge. I thought it would have affected us a lot, but it really didn't. But I didn't even mention when the pandemic hit in March. I don't know, something just came to me and told me to feed the kids for free. So I actually, to this day, we still feed the kids for free. 12 and under, we feed them for free from 11 to 3 because I figured they was home around the time and we give them free lunch. Where I'm from, we raised up having free lunch, and that was one of the over the summertime we was out for school. So I just decided, hey, let me feed them for free, and they'll come to the parking lot in our parking lot with their parents, and we'll find out how many kids in the car. And but that's before we did stop letting people in. But at first, I used to let them in until they say you had to stop it. So now I just started delivering food to their cars, and yeah, till now we still feeding the kids for free, and that, I don't know, I guess that kind of helped us as well, because people must have saw our hearts and more people just started coming, and but I don't know, that was a good thing, and it made a major change in that community that we're in.
Yeah.
And we always been a people based we always been for the community. We always looked out, gave back to the community. So when this pandemic hit, a lot of people already saw our hearts. They already know Cuzzo was here for us, and they patronize us, because we always been there for the community. So it still is.
I think it's absolutely great how both of you have the aspect of the community at heart in this, in good times and bad. Talk to me a little bit about from a staff perspective. How did you have to lay anybody off? Did you get people to pivot and do different jobs?
Man, fortunately, if anything, we had to hire more staff. Like,
That's
we
great.
got so busy. Like, I had to get more people in to help us out. No one had to get laid off. Everybody had their job. I always told them, y'all thankful to still have a job, because you see all these restaurants going out of business, but we still here. But yeah, if anything, we hired more people to help us out, because we just got crazy busy for like those few months everyone was home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So I want to switch gears a little bit. We'll talk about access to capital. How did you learn about it, and what has been the biggest benefit for applying to the programs? So actually, Joanne, I'll start with you.
Okay. I learned about it from my good friend Fran West, a neighbor. She works for the government, and but backstory, I was thinking about trying to hire somebody else as production was increasing, and was just also like in giving, like I give 20% of my proceeds, and so I knew like heading into the summer, just with everything that had happened, like I needed a chunk of cash, and I really wanted to do a website, and I really wanted to do new branding, and just all these hopes and dreams for what it could be like. And so I was just I literally specifically prayed, Lord, I need like $8,000. I need, I could see exactly how it could be used in all these ways to help my business. And literally, Fran told me that weekend, she said, you should apply for this Access to Capital program from the city of Charlotte. They're trying to help small businesses and recover from COVID and plan for the future. And I was like, whoa, could this be it? Like, this is incredible. So for me, it was just this beacon of hope, of like, hey, you can do so much more for, not even just like I give to this organization and that fights human trafficking, but then also like, hey, all these hungry people that are out of work, and you make food, like, and I was making soups now, like just expanding my product line. So for me, the Open for Business was this, just a huge opportunity to do a rebrand, to create a website, to just to expand and grow in the time of when I thought that wasn't happening anymore.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. Chef, how about you?
Well, for me, when the pandemic first hit, I was applying for grants and loans, and I kept getting denied. But as I guess after a lot of these big major companies was getting exposed about they were getting all the money, not the small businesses, and I don't know, then all of a sudden, a few months later, all right, I started getting accepted for grants and loans. I first, List Charlotte, I don't know if you heard List Charlotte, it was a major help. And I was thankful. Lowe's must have heard our story, and Lowe's gave me a grant and helped me out a lot too. So that was a major help. So I must give thanks to List, Charlotte, and Lowe's. And Lowe's gave me a lot of exposure, and which helped my business out a lot as well. So
In what ways?
just since they market me and put me on their billboard or whatever, they have me on every social media thing, and I guess more people was hearing about my restaurant, and they was patronizing us and trying to donate to our nonprofit for the kids, and yeah, it just like everybody was just embracing us, after they saw and heard about Cuzzo's Cuisine and my catering company. Yeah.
So you've got a lot more exposure now. Sounds like it's it's a blessing and a curse, right? But you're a lot more busy. How are you doing the work-life balance in all of this?
Well, I'm fortunate to have over 20 employees, so with that, I happen to branch off, and I got other businesses going on as well. I was able to open up other businesses just in case something happened. I got some things to fall back on, and I try to, got a few essential businesses. But yeah, I'm just able to do it. I got a good team. I got a good team behind me. I'm not here by myself. I want to do it. Would have been able to do it by myself. I got a good team.
Good.
Yeah.
Joanna, how about you? I mean,
It's all about your team. My main sous chef, she's amazing. I couldn't do it without her. And then I have somebody also who does my deliveries, my weekly deliveries. So I couldn't do it without him. And then when we've experienced some virtual learning this fall, it's been tricky. Work and life balance, I have not always seemed very balanced. And I'll find myself a lot of times in the evening, responding to emails and taking orders. I prefer to do that during the workday, but I think we're just trying to make it work.
what's the biggest lesson you've learned through the pandemic, whether it be personally in terms of trying to balance all of this or even professionally?
What I've learned, don't fold. Just stay positive. Keep pushing, man. Just don't give up. Just don't give up. That's the main thing I learned. Don't give up, and you gotta put God first, man. You gotta pray. You have faith. That's it. That's my way of making it through it all.
Yeah, good. Jana?
Yeah, the same thing. God is faithful, and people are inherently good at their core. And even if it's pandemic, and even if you're not supposed to touch each other, if your kid falls on the bike in the street, the neighbors run up and they help your kid. And same thing, like we had a little car accident on the way to the beach this summer. 2 people pulled over behind us to see if we were okay. Came, right up to us. There was no like, oh no, 6 feet away. And the same thing for people that were out of work in our kitchen. When our dishwasher got laid off, I drove food to her house. And another employee, she doesn't make any money. She's scraping by. She gave her whole paycheck because she knew how bad she was struggling. So people are going to help each other when the chips are down.
And that was the challenging part, just not be able to be close to people anymore. That's what I should have been. Like, can't touch people or, give hugs or show no love. That was kind of challenging. Nobody wanted to be close to you no more. That was kind of hard to adjust,
It's so interesting in times like this where you lose that human contact, but we've learned so much more kind of about our community and, that people are good at the core. And so it's really interesting, that kind of push and pull of it. You've both talked about really being a part of the community and different organizations that you're involved. Talk to me a little bit more about why that's so important to you in giving back. I mean, because I think it embodies, you talk about the good of the community. Here's 2 great examples.
You give, you shall receive. You speak it in the Bible, that is just plain and simple, But, you got to give from the heart, and your blessings will come. It's important, very important. That's what we all should be here for each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's everything. That's why I started my business, was the fact that, hey, you can make healing, delicious food, and then you can also help heal your world. And when I was at the kitchen late at night by myself and hauling trash and jars would break at the last minute, you just put one step in front of the other because this is why you're doing what you're doing, is for hope, is for healing. Because if you're not doing it and you're not, serving people food and giving them hugs and maybe they had a bad day and you're the light, for them. If you're not doing that, who else is? So I don't think we would do the hard work we do behind the scenes unless we had that, we can actually bring hope to our city. And I specifically remember, I just have to say this out loud, like thinking about hoping my business would work and take off and, actually be, hey, the first hot cups of bone broth, and thinking, wow, like looking at Uptown and saying, how cool would that be if that's where it started? And that's where the first Comp launch is, and that's where this is happening with you guys in the city. So I'm just really grateful.
Great. As you think about, coming out of 2020, we all tag it as that's the year, right? What about 2021? What are you looking at for 2021?
keep my foot on the gas. Keep pushing, and just stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Stick to my plan and just keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my plan.
What about, kind of secret to success or advice that you would give other small business owners or entrepreneurs?
Just believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in whatever product you push in. Just can't give up, man. Just don't give up. Some people just give up and panic. You just can't give up, man. Don't panic and just keep pushing. That's just how I roll. I just never stop pushing. I just keep going.
Yeah. That's great.
I motivate myself.
That is great.
Gotta have motivation. Yeah.
How about for you, Joanna?
So, totally, I agree with you. Don't give up and take every opportunity. I must have emailed and texted and direct messaged like just hundreds of people like, hey, I'm making bone broth. Do you want to partner with this? And I got a lot of no's, but I got a lot of amazing yeses at the same time. And so I think looking back, it's about timing and it's about patience. And so if one thing doesn't work, just keep, like you said, keep going.
Yeah. What does 21 look like?
I'm excited. I've been doing some work with Carolina Panthers. So my hope is to get more of that pro athletes that are using bone broth for recovery and sort of just grow this awareness of, hey, there's a local source of bone broth for Panthers. I've done some videos with like Jonathan Stewart and Kurt Coleman, and actually just delivered to Christian McCaffrey's, he's got this injury going on. So just like, you with Lowe's, like getting more exposure, and then, hopefully selling more, with my website, and then who knows what that could do, like how much, I could partner with the community and like helping to feed. We have so many hungry people here still that it's crazy, and if I have access to be able to make soups and food during this winter, maybe, how can I get that to more people, and how can we create this, okay, nutrition and wellness is not just for people that can afford it, it's for everybody, how can I create that mindset? And then in the hospitals too, like, why are we feeding our sick people blue Jell-O? And, go with my father-in-law to the cancer center, and they got processed cocoa in a Keurig that the cancer patients are drinking. It's like full of chemicals and artificial sweeteners. And like, what if there was a carafe of hot bone broth, like organic bone broth there? So I can just see so much change. And my husband's always like, one step at a time. But who knows? Like, if we keep going, who knows what doors will open,
Yeah. So last question. You guys are both incredibly inspiring. And you have a lens on the community, but also incredible business ideas, and it's great to see that you followed your dreams and that they've brought you here. From the city's perspective, we started the Open for Business to create this platform to unite the small business community. We're all in this together. So my question is, how can we continue to help you? How can we help you thrive? How can we help you continue to grow so that you can keep doing what you're doing, We might not continue to get federal money in, but what are the things that we can do to help you?
Well, you can always use more capital. You never have enough capital. But just help give us more exposure, help with more marketing within the city, see if we can have some type of events or something to bring people out, so we can have, so we can have some more clientele. Just help us build our clientele more, I guess. Marketing is the key to me, so just give us more exposure.
Got it.
Or something, whatever they could do with more exposure,
No, that's hard to think of, because in the past we might have thought, have an event featuring like restaurants and food, beverage industry, but now it's hard to think about gatherings. So, how to create the marketing and exposure. But I do think, the more exposure you can get, and then, too, I love when you asked about, is there access for people who are interested in this industry, and creating those pathways, maybe, to people that want to follow in your footsteps, that want to be a restaurant owner or want to be, perhaps like a small business owner of some sort of specialty artisanal food. People that are kind of on the cracks and the margins of society, like creating those pathways. So maybe there could be a kitchen one day that had reduced fees and
Yeah.
had a track into the program that most people couldn't get. That's one of my dreams too, because the Serve Save class that you have to have when you work in the restaurant, it's around $100. It's 2 days. That's tough for a lot of people, like to take off work for 2 days, $100. So maybe the city could say, hey, we're going to do sponsor 30 people a month to do Serve Safe. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, as we come to the end of this discussion, I want to thank both of you again. You're really inspiring, not just from your businesses, but again, the lens that you bring back to the community and what you do. And thank you so much for sharing your stories. So just before we close today, I want to get both of you, tell us where your restaurant is, tell us how to find you, and how we can support you.
Well, we're located on 3418 Tuckasegee Road. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Cuzzo's Cuisines. Or log on to CuzzosCuisines.com on our website. You place your orders there and contact, everything, CuzzosCuisines.com.
Great. Thank you.
BraveBroth.com, like the word brave, and then broth.com. That's the website, and that's where you can order and find out more information about our bone broths and our soups and how to get them. And my Instagram is @brave_broth.
Great.
Facebook @BraveBroth.
Well, thank you to both of you. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today as we close out this today's version of the Mentorship series. And thank both of our panelists for joining us. And hope that everybody has a great afternoon and join us again.